Good morning. Welcome on in on this Wednesday, February 4th. Thanks for joining DJ and PK. I'm PK. Wow, what a day yesterday, right? Woo, a lot of things going on with the Jazz. A big trade. Is it a franchise-altering trade? Well, we obviously will be getting to that throughout the morning. BYU's back in action tonight. Basketball, probably a must-win when you think about it. Let's not forget hockey. The Mammoth are back on the ice tonight. Detroit Red Wings now. After tonight, they are off literally for 3 weeks because we've got the Olympics and Olympic hockey and the NHL sending their players to the Olympics. The Mammoth will be represented by 4 players, 4 different countries. Clayton Keller, obviously, with the USA. Go USA, right? Well, they won the other night after a couple of losses. It's been an interesting season. We're going to talk to Mike Folta, the radio voice of the Mammoth, after they won their game on, what was that, Monday night? Yeah, it was Monday night, so stay with us right here. We're going to listen to Mike Folta.
Schmaltzy's got it out for you, Mike. That's what I took out of that. He had you yelling all night long. You could lose your voice. He's dangerous.
Oh, guys, good morning. I'm coming to you a little hoarse this morning.
I thought so.
All puffy. Just woke up. Looked like I got run over by PK's personalized custom golf cart. But, hey, all is well that ends well. It was a big win for the Mammoth last night against a Vancouver team. It's last place in the NHL, but you win 6-2. You do what on paper you're supposed to do, and that's take care of business at home. And Nick Schmaltz with his second hat trick of the year. It's crazy. Last year, he went the first 23 games of the season without scoring a goal, and he still finished with 20 goals. This year, he got off to a great start. He's playing the best hockey of his career, now 10 years into his NHL career, and he's 1 goal away from a career high still with 25 games left in the regular season, and he has elevated this team with his play. In a contract year, no less.
Of course, Mike. That's the key. That's my question to you. Don't we see this throughout sports? Guys are free agents, and they end up with their best year. We used to have Joe Ingles on every week for 8 years. He gets his contract year. All of a sudden, he's shooting 45% from 3. And I tried to tell him, well, yeah, because you got money. Oh, no. Come on, man. This is an old story, isn't it?
I guess. But, hey, it's easy to say that and I just expect a guy to be great, but the fact of the matter is Utah has needed Nick Schmaltz to play like this because the team has been without Logan Cooley, who's your most dynamic centerman, and there have been times when some of the scoring around Schmaltz has dried up a little bit, but he's been consistent. He's been excellent defensively. Like I'm talking about his offensive numbers. He's been excellent in the defensive zone. We have discussed on this show about how Schmaltz has moved over from wing to center, how that's a lot more defensive responsibility. It's what's a good comparison? Maybe football's not the best comparison, but it's like moving from slot receiver to like that true X receiver, right? Like now all of a sudden you're the true number 1. Well, now a center has a lot more responsibility on both ends of the ice. It's a harder position to play. And Schmaltz has stepped into that role, and his numbers have been even better in that role. And he's really helped out Clayton Keller and the guys around him. So got to give him a ton of credit. And Utah's needed him to step up in the way that he has. Hat trick last night. He's got 2 on the year. Guys, I had some friends at the game last night. They have now been to 2 games this year. Nick Schmaltz has had a hat trick in both of them. How about that?
Well, nice. You better get him some more tickets.
better get him a Nick Schmaltz jersey.
Right.
Signed. When you look at this team as far as Schmaltz doing what he's doing, and that's great, the other night, and I realized it was in a losing effort, but how about Yamamoto? Seems like he's coming on a bit. Oh
my gosh. Yeah, he had 5 goals over the last 5 games, 2 goals in back-to-back games. He's the smallest guy on the ice, but he wins every battle. Like he plays with incredible skill and incredible hockey IQ. And he was a really high draft pick a few years ago back in Edmonton. He spent multiple years in Edmonton, didn't really pan out with the Oilers. even though he got to play with guys like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, some of the top end players in the world, he never stuck long term. Guys, last year Yamamoto basically had to fight his way into a contract.
Right.
He played really well in the preseason a year ago, and he didn't have a contract until basically the start of the year. And because he played well in the preseason, the Utah management staff was like, all right, yeah, you can be a depth piece for us. He played in 12 games all of last year, had 2 goals in 12 games, was mostly in the AHL, played in the minor leagues for the first time in 5 or 6 years for him. So it was, I think if you'd ask him, a bit of a reset for him last year, maybe a little humbling. But it helped get his confidence back a little bit because he was playing a big role in the minor leagues. Well, coming this year, he now all of a sudden has 9 goals, and he's still been in and out of the lineup a little bit, but he's playing way more consistently. And he's played and produced to a point where he's forcing Andre Tourigny to keep him in the lineup because he can play with those high-end guys. You can just plug him in with guys like Keller and Schmaltz, like Utah did in the last road trip after Krause was out due to illness. He can play with J.J. Peterka and Barrett Hayton like he has the last couple nights. He finds the soft pockets of the ice. He gets himself open. And like I said, even though he's the smallest guy on the ice, he wins a ton of battles. And a great run for him, even though the Mammoth lost both games where he had 2 goals. His production has kind of helped keep Utah afloat offensively in times where maybe the top guys aren't scoring.
And
but,
don't forget, go ahead, finish your thought.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
This town is used to great play from guys from Spokane, Washington.
Oh, no. Is it Stockton?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You can't say Spokane to a sports fan here. Yeah, without thinking Stockton. It's automatic. We all know it. Baked into us.
That's a good call. Yeah, Spokane's own. Yep, he played in the WHL. Played a little bit in Idaho as a kid too. So we can basically claim him, right, as like a guy from the Western U.S. We don't have a ton of those in the NHL.
That's Spokane to Salt Lake pipeline.
That's right. Keep it rolling, baby. Open that valve. No, but Yamamoto's been great. He's a humble guy and easy guy to root for and a fun guy to watch.
I am built so that I can scoreboard watch and look at the standings by the time we're a quarter of the way into the season. And even in the first quarter, I find a way to do it. It drives PK nuts. At what point do NHL coaches and players start scoreboard watching? Because there's 6 teams separated by 4 points, and 3 of them aren't going to the playoffs, and 3 of them will get in. So at what point, because they can drive themselves crazy too. You can waste a lot of energy on that kind of stuff. Leave it to somebody like me. I don't have to go out there and skate.
Yeah, it's funny. There's all these different deadlines on the NHL schedule where we have these statistics. The first one that I think of is Thanksgiving, where there's kind of this rule. I think it's 70% of the teams that are in playoff positions by American Thanksgiving are going to be in the playoffs at the end of the season, and so that's not even a quarter of the way into the year, right? And we're talking about we better be in a playoff spot by Thanksgiving, and then Christmas rolls around, and there's another statistic, and then here comes Valentine's Day and the Olympic break, and it's another statistic. So honestly, I think everybody's watching all year, guys. They'll tell you that they're not worried about the standings, but I think everybody watches the standings and looks at the leaderboards every single night. And, I've been a part of teams and even a part of this team where, maybe you lose a bad game late or you lose in overtime. But it's a crushing loss in October. And you're sitting there thinking maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point that keeps us from getting in the playoffs. And someone is saying that. Inevitably, someone is saying that. So they'll tell you they don't watch every night, but I call bull on that. I think everybody watches every night. And honestly, guys, you've had to this year because seriously, it sounds cliche. Oh, the standings, it's a tight race. It is an unbelievably tight race. The Mammoths just had their best calendar month ever in January with 10 wins, and they still are in a dogfight for a wild card spot. And so There's some separation in the division where the top 3 teams are pretty much set in the Central Division. In the Mammoth, they're that 4th team that there's a pretty big chasm between where Utah is and where the next 3 are. But fighting for that wild card spot, it's like a 5 or 6 team race where everybody is winning in that group, and it's going to come down to the wire. Even though Utah is playing well, you can't rest for 1 second because LA and Seattle and even San Jose now, they were one of the worst teams in the league. Now they're fighting for a wild card. They're right there. So it's imperative the Mammoth keep winning.
We know in the NBA All-Star break that guys like to go where it's warm, and they get about a week to do what they want and get back into town. Well, here with this huge break, I would imagine some of them would have a form of vacation, but you can't vacation for 3 weeks. Do you know what their plan is?
Watch me.
You can, but I'm talking about them.
A lot of guys will get away. Yeah, a lot of guys will get away for at least a week. Utah has some injuries, some guys that have been banged up. Logan Cooley is a big one. Alexander Kerfoot, he's been hurt recently as well. Those guys will be trying to come back during the break. And so like the trainers and the staff, like they get a little bit of break too, but it's only about a week, and then they got to, come back and get guys back up and running, because you want to hit the ground running when you come back from break,
have
right?
to, man.
Well, exactly. We're just talking about the standings. You have to. The Mammoth has some really tough games against Colorado and Minnesota coming up after the break. So it'll be about a week for these guys. It's a 3-week Olympic break. I think I'll be. I'll take about a 3.5 week break for me.
You're gonna come back with heavy legs. Clayton Keller can't. He's gonna be at the Olympics.
Just come back. I worry about Mike having free time, the ability to actually come back. I'm more concerned about him returning, literally.
Everybody knows UC Santa Barbara's a party school, but Purdue's underrated from what I've heard.
Oh, yeah.
I'm worried about you.
Well, when the freshman orientation is, guys, it's when you're at Purdue, but the whole behavior is Purdon't.
Hey. We had a big win against an 8-12 Maryland team on Sunday, so we're on the climb back. I mean, with Purdue, God, like Indiana winning a national championship, Purdue loses to Indiana in basketball a week later. Like, I have nothing, right? I have nothing as far as my collegiate fandom. I'm living vicariously through Utah State, my Aggies.
There you go.
But they lost a couple games too. So.
They did. But then bounce back. Big game against New Mexico coming up.
Oh, yeah. The Pit's legendary. It'll be crazy. There's a guy. What is he? The swamp rat or the sewer rat? What's that?
Sewer rat.
The sewer rat. Yeah. There's a fan there. You gotta see him to believe him. And Steve Cleveland, the BYU story, actually ended up befriending the guy. It's a heck of a story. Have you ever have a chance to watch?
Just some raw meat.
Yeah, if you have a chance to watch Utah
Is this New Mexico at the Pit?
It's a New Mexico fan.
Yeah.
Snake is another nickname for the guy. He's all tatted up. He'll be there in a tank top. He's a short dude, and he screams his head off. Screams his head off during games. Just goes nuts. Everyone knows.
I'm gonna keep my Utah State fandom to the spec probably. So I don't think I'm going on any Aggie road games.
You did have a nice little Sandlot reference when Schmaltz. You're killing me, Schmaltz, which is obviously Smalls. You are somewhat new to the area. You do realize that Sandlot was filmed in our area, right?
I was told this. That was not on my mind as I called the goal, but I was told this. Where was it filmed?
There's a diamond in Rose Park. Yeah. There were a couple scenic.
My home golf course.
Right. There were a couple scenic cutaways
down by Murray.
Where there's
Town?
one that was taken from like the east bench looking west, and you can see the smokestack at the end of the Okers at Kennecott. I mean, it's totally obvious. If you watch the movie and wait for the smokestack, you will 100% see it. Yeah, it was like, well, obviously they're in Utah. Yeah, the Murray Pool was used. Yeah. There were multiple locations. If you go online, you can see all those things are online now if you want to find out where stuff was shot. Just type in locations for whatever movie.
Sandlot is on an extremely short list of movies that it is acceptable to watch on the 4th of July. I don't think you should be watching movies on the 4th of July, but if for some reason you are in front of a TV screen on the 4th of July, it's Sandlot, Independence Day, and that might be it. I'm not sure what else.
Well, always, of course, you're realizing that every day of the year, multiple times, you can watch Godfather 1 and Godfather 2 because that's the ultimate family movie.
Well, that's always on Thanksgiving. That always
should always be on.
It's always on Thanksgiving.
Just always on.
Which one's the bad one? Which one's the one you're
the
not
third one? The third one.
Now.
The third one doesn't measure up to the first two.
1 and 2.
Yeah, one and 2 are Oscar winners. I mean, they're classics. So, I got to ask you about the Olympics here because there's all this noise about, well, is the rink going to be done in Milan? And then it's like, well, we're only going to send the NHL players, and the Mammoth sending 4, right, for 4 different countries. If the ice quality is up to a certain standard, and I'm thinking, there's a lot of money on the line. They've stopped the schedule one way or another. How can they not make ice? I mean, this is going to happen, isn't it? This is all just drama leading up to it.
It is. We're going to play the games, and it's going to be awesome. And we're going to watch Team USA, play Canada, Sweden, like all these teams, and we're going to love every second of it. And the players are going to make it incredible, right? Like we had the outdoor game in Tampa a couple days ago where the Lightning came all the way back to win 6-5 in overtime. And the goalies fought, and the players had awesome costumes upon their entrance to the stadium. Like that event was awesome because the players made it awesome, regardless of all the extra stuff on the outside. The Olympics coming up in Milan, there's been a lot of noise about the arena not being finished. And from what it sounds like, it's not going to be finished by the time we play. And when I say that, I mean it's not going to be to the standard that we were hoping and expecting. And, when we go around the league to different teams, there's a certain standard that NHL players are used to when you walk into the locker room, the type of access you have throughout the arena and things like that. It sounds like that's not going to be up to an NHL standard in Milan. Again, I'm not there on the ground. This is just what I'm hearing from people who are there. But they have the important stuff is going to get done. The important stuff either is done or is going to get done. And that's the ice surface itself and, the boards, like the hockey infrastructure. Most of the seats are done. It sounds like they had to bring in some kind of temporary seats as well. I was talking with Sam Farnsworth over at Channel 2.
Channel 5.
Channel 5, excuse me. Yes, thank you. And he was telling me, he was filling me in a little bit on the backstory. He's got boots on the ground in Milan.
Yeah.
But the important stuff is done. The players are going to make it awesome. But I wouldn't be surprised if you keep seeing pictures and videos over the next couple of days of incomplete sections of that hockey arena in Milan, which is really unfortunate because we all know they only had, a couple years to get this done.
Dope it out for us as far as who you think are the favorites. Obviously, with the NHL players playing for the first time in 12 years, you should have a pretty good idea of the rosters.
Yeah, I mean, we know that the U.S. and Canada are going to be really good. No Russia in the Olympics. I think we know that. There's so many good Russian players. You think of Mikhail Sergachev for the Mammoth. So there's a little bit of an asterisk next to this, next to any best on best tournament when you don't have Russia involved. But U.S. Canada are going to be up there. Sweden has an unbelievable team. Sweden is going to be legit. Finland always overachieves in these tournaments. Last time we played best on best Olympics, Olli Mata was part of Team Finland, and they beat Patrick Kane and the Americans like 5-1 to win a bronze medal. And the U.S. got 4th that year. So Finland always overachieves. They'll be very good. Team Czechia will have Karel Vejmelka. We know Veggie's ability to steal a game as a goaltender. They'll be a very tough out as well. Those are kind of the 4 teams. Those were the 4 teams we had they weren't the 4 teams. Czechia was not part of the 4 nations, but those are the 5 teams: U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland, and Czechia that I think have the best chances to medal. U.S. going to have a really good team. Going to have a team that's really good on defense, really good goalie. Those are probably the advantages that the Americans have. Up front, Canada's better because you have guys like Crosby, McDavid, and McKinnon. So it's gonna be a great matchup when U.S. and Canada meet.
Mike, we'll leave it right there. One more game, and then you can put your feet up for 3 weeks.
Oh, who said I'm not already kicking back?
Well, you are, actually.
I'm my lazy boy here, just kind of getting used to it.
All right. Thanks, Mike. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. That was Mike Folta. Now, coming up, we have got to get to the Jazz. Oh, my gosh, we got to get to the Jazz, right? Yeah, no doubt about that. We're going to get to the Jazz, and we're going to have the Jazz recap. Stay with us. We'll get to that next on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Good morning. Welcome on in, DJ and PK. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning. What do you know? The Jazz. Whoo, what a day. Hey, well, we look back and say this is the day that started it all. That would be yesterday. Well, we hope so. The Jazz with the huge trade, just gigantic. I don't know that you can get any bigger for what the Jazz could literally do. You know, fantasy-wise, maybe they can get bigger, but what they were able to pull off, getting Jaren Jackson and not giving up any starters by any stretch, giving up some role players, Walt Clayton and Taylor Hendricks would be the leading guys there. The 2 first-round draft choices, one from a couple years back and then one from last June, obviously, and then a couple of veterans in Anderson and Niang, and then also the draft picks, 3 draft picks. And who's coming our way? Well, that would be Jaren Jackson Jr., a 2-time All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year, to get in the lineup. I don't know how much he's going to be able to do right now. Hopefully not much, because the Jazz want to add that draft pick. I think there's a possibility of things change, and certainly the thing that's changing the most is the tankathon. It's not over yet, obviously, but we've got, 31 more games to go, and then it'll be over. For sure it'll be over, and they will look to win next year. We'll get into that big time throughout the morning, that is for sure. The Jazz had the game last night, and they beat the Pacers 131 to 122. My gosh, the Pacers, I couldn't have told you one guy on their team. Man, it was a score fest. The Pacers scoring 50, shooting 54%. The Jazz 57%. Only had 7 players that they played, all 7 in double figures. How many times did you see that? And Isaiah Collier, 22 assists. Wow, only 2 turnovers. Yeah, that is a great line. Everybody had a fine night. It was a fine night for the Jazz. I bet you the guys who didn't get to play would have loved to play because it was a stat-padding night. Everyone, literally every single player who played, all 7 of them, shot at least 50% from the field, except Collier. He was 6 of 16. Everybody else was doing their thing. Now, with the Collier addition like that, 22 assists, he was 6 of 16, 0 of 3 from 3. He's not a shooter. He is a passer, and he passed the ball very well last night against a lousy team. We talked about it during the week. I had no doubt in my mind that they were going to win because the Pacers, they are worse than a Jazz, and they're playing to lose as many games as they could possibly lose also. All right. As we do after every game, we let you get into the locker room, hear what the guys have to say on the Jazz postgame. We're going to do that right now.
It's your Jazz recap here on DJ and PK 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott with you. Big day for the Utah Jazz yesterday, making a trade. It becomes official. Jaren Jackson Jr. coming to the Utah Jazz in exchange for 3 first-round picks. Walter Clayton Jr., Taylor Hendricks, Kyle Anderson, and George Niang. Huge news. But the Jazz did play last night. They only played 7 players, but they came away with a win, 131-122 over the Pacers. Lauri Markkanen led the way with 27 points. Isaiah Collier played all 48 minutes, had 17 points and 22 assists, the highest assist number in the NBA so far this season, and the Jazz win. Let's get to the postgame sound and Jazz head coach Will Hardy.
All 7 players in double figures, 38 assists, only 10 turnovers. We scored 70 paint points. I thought the team really competed for all 48 minutes. Obviously, Isaiah, 22 assists with only 2 turnovers is a testament to him. It's a testament to his teammates. Obviously making shots, but Zay made a lot of great decisions for us tonight. This is games like this are odd. Playing with 7 people and the lineups that we had out there, but I thought the team had great energy, great camaraderie. Really proud of their effort tonight.
What made Isaiah's 22 assists so impressive, especially with the minutes that he played?
Yeah, I mean, Zay picked his spots. I mean, it wasn't all one thing. You have, his transition stuff has always been really high level. But then in the half court, some driving kick. He found Flip in the pocket a bunch. He hit Lowry in the pocket some. He read sprint slips very well and made those reads on time so that people could get shots off. I think he also did a great job of recognizing who was in a little bit of a rhythm. Like if Bryce hit one, he tried to find him again. Same with Svi. Overall, he showed a lot of poise and maturity as a point guard.
Playing 48 minutes, did that decision come before the game, and kind of does the health and performance staff worry about that at all? And did you have any excitement about playing in 48 minutes? Kind of worried about that?
Yeah, that was my decision, and I did not consult anybody about that decision. I think Zay. I really think any player is capable of doing it. You obviously wouldn't want to do that a bunch of nights in a row. But tonight, with the players that were available, it felt like a good opportunity for Zay to just roll. I sort of alerted Zay in the first half that was my plan after he had one sort of senseless foul. I just said, hey, man, if you keep doing that, we're going to ruin this part of the plan. But yeah, I mean, tonight's a night where all of us, myself, health and performance, everybody knows that a bunch of guys are going to be in spots that are unusual. Ace played 40 minutes, and that's not been his standard plan either. But tonight we had to do what we had to do to get through the game.
To piggyback off of Ace, too, he got to the line tonight probably more than this season what he's been averaging. What does it take for a rookie to kind of get used to getting to the line or kind of adjusting to drawing fouls in the league?
Yeah, Ace is understanding the timing that it takes around the basket, and that in order to get the whistle, you have to play through the moment of collision. You can't get to the moment of collision and stop. Ace does a really good job of using his pivots. It's a real weapon for him. He drives, kind of little bump, pivot, and then he can shoot his little mini fadeaway because of his length and athleticism. But to get a whistle, you do have to play through the point of contact, and I think that Ace is doing a better job of that. I also think that he's doing a better job when he does go to shoot of recognizing that the rules in the NBA protect shooters, and you don't have to contort your body as much as you think. You have the advantage of the rules, and players can't hit you on the forearm. They can't walk into your space. They can't push you on the hip while you're shooting. I think his shooting discipline has continued to improve.
There's Jazz head coach Will Hardy. Let's now hear from Svi Mikhailuk.
How would you describe tonight's win against the Pacers?
It was great, especially for us to find our rhythm. We were sharing the ball pretty well. Everybody got open shots. Played hard, not selfish. So I feel like it was good for us.
Sharing the ball, Isaiah has 22 assists. What's it like there being out on the court with a guy like that who can assist like that?
It's great. I feel like he's a pass first point guard, so it's great to play with him. He always finds guys. He don't really care about scoring, which just gives us a lot of opportunities to find us on the three-point line on the cut. So it's been great.
And what does it say about how connected you guys are when you guys were able to get in the offense the way you were and to do things defensively, just with a completely different lineups tonight?
Yeah, I feel like especially when you have 7 guys playing, it's hard, but everybody know everybody's going to play a lot. So I feel like everybody was at ease and just play really hard and unselfish. Thank you.
That's Svi, 18 points last night on 7 of 9 shooting. Let's now move on and hear from Kyle Filipowski.
How would you describe tonight's win?
Amazing. I think just playing with only 7 guys tonight, and all 7 of us were in double figures, partially thanks to Zay for passing the ball as much as he did. I think it was a lot of fun, and it was a great win that we all should be proud of.
Yeah, you guys did look like you were having a lot of fun out there, a lot of smiles, just given the way you guys approached tonight's game. What is it like to have fun out on the court with your teammates, especially a young core that you guys have?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, just being able to play this game, every day, that's just a blessing in itself. But being able to do that and really make great bonds with your teammates and play great basketball, that just makes it even better.
And then what are you looking forward to as you guys continue this road trip? What things can you take away from tonight's game that you guys were able to do with just many different lineups?
Yeah, I think just communicating well, playing together. I think, when we do that, I think it's just going to be great basketball overall.
All right, there's Kyle Filipowski, 16 points, 16 rebounds for Flip in the win. The Jazz beat the Pacers 131-122.
All right, the Jazz with the big win. Now they continue their road trip. Still got a few more games before they come home, and then it's the All-Star break at the end of next week. And obviously it's going to be all about Jaren Jackson. It's got to be all about the Cougars, too. Can't forget them. They got a big game coming up, and we will get to that next. Stay with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I love to say it, but I think I get to say it tonight without you yelling at me. What? Sweet. You have to yell at me and keep me in line. Big game tonight coming up, PK. I do that for the NFL. I do it for the NBA. I do it for the Mammoth. They've lost back-to-back games. Big game. They got to beat Vancouver.
I think that in college basketball conference-wise,
it gets easier to say.
Yeah, especially when you're in February.
And a team that has very high expectations, both internally and externally, and they lost 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I think it goes beyond internally and externally.
What's left? Midternally? This is make up new words. All right.
The Cougars tonight, obviously they are playing the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and we know they're coming in having lost 3 out of 4. Mm-hmm. They beat the Utes, and then they lost to the ranked teams, which is Tech, Arizona, and Kansas. And they have Houston Saturday. But with the fact that Kevin Young said this after Saturday's loss, it's a curse and a blessing in the Big 12. Hold on, because you'll have another huge game against a ranked team right around the corner, and that's exactly right. Well, with that being exactly right, I think now for the Cougars, because they're 0-3 against ranked teams in the conference, that's undisputable. And I don't think those 3 teams are going to fall out of the rankings.
No, who? Arizona, Kansas, Texas Tech? No, they're not going to.
Right.
No, I totally agree.
And with that in mind,
honestly, the only team in the rankings that might fall out of the rankings is BYU.
Right.
But I think it's more likely that they add a team than someone falls out. I really expect all the ranked teams to stay in there. And UCF, look out.
They're on the verge.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're on the verge.
They could be a 7th ranked team.
The problem with losing to these games, losing to these teams, besides the fact that you lost to them, it puts an undue, maybe not an undue, maybe a justified amount of pressure on to beat the Oklahoma States of the world. I don't think if you look at the rest of their schedule and, teams like Colorado and Baylor's having a down season, you already mentioned UCF is a good team, West Virginia, Cincinnati, you must beat all those teams. Mm-hmm. So they, at worst, tonight is the halfway point for them. They play 18 conference games and they're 5-3, right?
And they've got 4 ranked teams left and 6 unranked.
So they must go 10-0 against those unranked teams, or 6-0.
6-0,
yeah. 10-0 would be awesome. But 6-0, and then they've got to at least split.
Pick off a couple others somewhere in there.
Yes.
And 3 of those 4 are at home.
Yes.
So you would expect, that's not a big ask.
No, not for this team, for this payroll.
The road games at Arizona, that's going to be hard. It's not impossible.
Yeah, they got it last year. It was a wild, fun game.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. Arizona probably isn't going to go undefeated. They're going to maybe have a slip up.
You would expect. Happens to most teams. Maybe they'll have a couple.
Yeah.
You know, once you get one.
Well, we know they'll have one in March.
They
always
have
do.
a brutal stretch here where they play 4 ranked teams in a row, and BYU's the 3rd team in that 4-game stretch. So if Arizona gets beat somewhere in there, that just isn't surprising. 2 of them are at home and 2 of them are on the road, and I just expect somebody is going to get Arizona. They're going to have a night they don't shoot it well. Somebody else will have a night where they're on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more likely to be a road game than a home game, and BYU does have to go there.
And that's fine. Arizona can sustain a loss or 2, and it's not really going to matter.
No, they got 1 seed written all over them.
Yeah, and even if they drop to 2, who cares? That's how you play in March. But
they're a 1 and Houston's a 2 right now, you think?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in Kansas with Peterson probably is going to – if Peterson is available –
if he can play a lot,
they'll
from here
get a
on
high
out.
seed.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter
They'll be
where they're ranked or whatever.
They'll be a 2 or 3.
Maybe even higher. I guess the only high you can go higher from 2 is 1.
I kind of feel like Michigan, UConn, and Arizona. I'd be surprised. There's still a lot of basketball. Somebody could lose 3 in a row.
But what I was saying, what I meant by a 2 is there's 4 2 seeds, and there's a difference between 8 and 4 and 5.
There can be.
Right.
Absolutely.
The brackets, Utah in the 90s got stuck with
when Kentucky was loaded.
Yeah.
When Kentucky was way better.
They were 2 seed, but
yeah.
they were the last 2 seed, and they played the number 1 seed. And there you go. I think that was Van Horn's senior year, if I remember. And so that matters within the seeding goes and what the bracket is. But that's the way it goes, and you have to win or else. But for the Cougars, it's just imperative that they have a game like they had against the Utes. They need a laugher. They need to relax. The pressure on these guys is just incredible, man. I can recall Steve Cleveland had gotten a tournament team, and then they come back the next year, and they were struggling mid-season, in mid-conference season. And I remember talking to him, man. He said, it's hard to breathe. Just the amount of pressure that they're facing to get into the tournament because you've established yourself as a tournament team.
Yep.
And now
sustain it.
Yeah.
Do it again.
And
Do it again.
For BYU, I don't think it's a question of sustaining a tournament team. It's having success. And it was last year, that's why it was so cool for them to do what they did, because they brought in a perceived number 1 pick in Dielman, and it wasn't going well. And so they needed something to change, and it did. And then they get to the Sweet 16 in its first year. Yegor becomes a number 1 pick. So the selling points that they were able to do in the recruiting, come here, we'll go deep, I'll get you to the NBA. He did it. And college sports is a constant sales job. Recruiting is about selling. And so he then, Young and his people, were able to just say, well, we already proved it in 1 year. I proved it. And DeBonce is like, okay. And his dad, Ace DeBonce, okay.
Yep.
And now they're going to continue to do it. So they can't literally afford to slip up. They have got to get to the Sweet 16 and see what the matchups are. So the pressure on these guys is enormous. And if they come out on the wrong end of the score tonight, it's going to be amped up way, way, way more than last year.
Well, first off, to go back to the Steve Cleveland comparison, you look at how much everything has changed since then. You look at the investment, and not just the boosters who are writing the checks, but the price of all those seats has gone way up, and they're paying coaches way more. Obviously, they're paying players.
Well, they got more coaches.
And the number of times I've heard, you're right, they're paying more coaches, and they're paying the coaches who are sitting in the chairs already, coaches, and are getting more money. And then they got 10 people on staff beyond that, and probably more than that.
Yeah.
But 10 you can see during a game. And the pressure Steve talked about, now you multiply it times social media And all these donors who think they have a say, and to some degree do, they have to at least be heard, even if you're just letting them blow off steam.
Well, they're not just giving money for the sake of giving money.
Right. You're going to want them to give money again, so they have to feel heard, even if ultimately they're telling you to, run an inbounds play that's crazy and would never work. But you got to hear them. It's just more of everything. And that, when you're struggling to make shots, doesn't help anybody. Tons of pressure doesn't usually help shooters get untracked. And to your point about Oklahoma State, the way the schedule stacks up, it's 3 of 4 now. You want to go into the Houston game talking about losing 4 of 5? Because you could play very well against Houston and come out talking about losing 5 out of 6. And you just feel this snowball growing, what's wrong with. And that puts a national spotlight on you because you're on the Big 12, so nothing's going to happen quietly in the Big 12.
Not for BYU.
Nope.
For some teams maybe, but not for them.
That's your point about you got to get the Oklahoma State game and then see what you can do with Houston. It is at home. And then you got Baylor and Colorado before you go to Arizona. So you better take care of Baylor, Colorado, and Oklahoma State. Because that's just what you have to do just so you have a 500 stretch.
Yeah, they're road games the rest of the way. At Oklahoma State, at Baylor, at Arizona, across the country, at West Virginia and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And that's a 2-game swing. I would assume that the end of this month
they'll just stay on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason to fly all the way back to go all the way back to Cincinnati.
So that's sort of funky right there.
It is.
That's unusual. They're not used to, on a Monday, practicing in somebody else's gym.
And you do all that West Virginia. UCF at home is hard. Winnable, but hard. And then West Virginia, Cincinnati road trip, so you can come back and play Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Pivoting an old line that I used on a boss of mine. You're the one who wanted to be in this league. This is what everybody signs up for in the Big 12. And as much as BYU fans can groan, I mean, think what TCU's feeling right now. That is not a bad TCU team, but they are 3-6. They're just getting beat up in this league. And I don't think they're awful.
They're losing games.
They are losing games.
Yeah.
3-6 doesn't feel very good.
Yeah, they let one slip away at Utah.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain teams in this conference, and you just look at the standings and figure out who they are, that you got to beat. Because if you don't, it's like, okay, well, if you don't beat that team, you're probably not going to beat. If you don't beat Oklahoma State, you're probably not going to beat Houston. So now you got 2 losses.
Right.
So
and you feel the same thing when you play Baylor and Cincinnati.
It just adds to the attention and pressure. And we'll see how these guys go. And then you got DeBonsa, who comes in with the most hype ever.
Yeah.
And has all sorts of fame and acclaim. And the way the world works now, they go hand in hand. Before he ever bounces a ball in college, and he gets outplayed to a good degree by Darren Peterson, and then against the Arizona team, he's 6 of 24. He didn't come here not to be a star. In the last couple games, the Kansas game wasn't bad, but every game, man, we're expecting 25, 30 out of them with 3 or 4 highlight dunks. Right?
Yeah.
And maybe a block or 2 and all that. And you go on the road in college, and he heard the overrated chant, which needs to be overpaid now. The amount of attention focused on a kid who just turned 19 last week. But that's the reality of the situation, man. In a sense, they've all asked for that, and that you want that because that means you're really good. And he is really good.
Privilege or pressure is a privilege. That is one you're going to hear over and over again. A lot of people are saying that, and I think we're just going to hear more of it. And the pressure that comes with all this money, it is a privilege. Now, let's not build up Oklahoma State too much. They are 15-6, but this is a program going through a rebuild here, and this is a program that scheduled a lot of W's. They have not been particularly great against Power 5 opponents. They're 3-5 in league. They were in a tight game with at Utah with about 5 or 6 minutes to go. Found a way to win, which is great because they went into that game losing 4 of the last 5. So it's not like they're flying right now. But they're also in a rebuild. They got lower expectations, and that can make a team dangerous. This is a very winnable game. It's the one BYU has to get. And I think the first thing is before you win a game, the goal has to be to win both halves, right? Win the first half. And this is trailing at halftime. I think given the fact they've lost 3 out of 4, That's a message that could resonate with these guys right now. Go out and take the lead early. Take it to them early. You're better. You've got more talent. Take it to them early at both ends of the floor.
I don't buy that, though.
Okay.
I don't buy the idea of we're going to make them quit. Because that's the next thing. Take it to them early to take away their will and all that stuff.
You can worry about that at halftime, see how the game's going. But the second halves have been taking care of themselves.
You play your game.
Well, your game is to fall behind by 10, 15, or 20 in the first half. Don't do that.
That's not your game. That's not what you're coached to do. You're not playing your game by falling behind by 20. Your game is to be what you're capable of being. And you got 40% of your starting lineup is NBA guys. And so you need to be able to show us that you're capable of doing this, because you are capable of doing it. If you can do it in one, the only thing that changes is the number on the scoreboard. Instead of 1, it says 2. And if you can do it in 2, you can do it in 1. So I'm not really worried about destroying Oklahoma State. I think that's more of a cliche. Take it to them early. Just play well. If Oklahoma State plays well and they're hitting a bunch of shots, okay, fine. But you play well. If you play well, you're going to win. You're a better team.
If they hit shots early, then maybe it looks a little like the Wisconsin game where that thing stayed level for a while and then BYU went on a run. Because if a team's surviving, if they're struggling, but they're hitting tough shots, they're not going to hit tough shots for 40 minutes. I just don't
right, but that's why I'm not really worried about what their team. I'm concerned about BYU.
You're taking it one possession at a time.
I want to see what BYU can do and play a complete game. Don't give me these half games. They haven't played a complete game. And that's the goal. If you play a complete game, you win. And it really doesn't matter what the other team is doing.
They should definitely beat Oklahoma State if they play a complete game.
Yes, they have to.
If BYU comes out with a B+, A- game, I think they win the game.
This is their biggest game to date, given the circumstances. If you lose this game and then mojo is gone, whatever you may have had, and you're not living up to the expectations, and then the expectations sort of swallow you up. And I've seen that happen in sports.
Hate it when that happens.
Yeah, I don't think it will. We'll see about Saturday. But get this ball game tonight, get back on the winning track, get back into town, and have 2 good days of practice, and then get ready for a great matchup on Saturday night.
7 o'clock, FS1, BYU, and Oklahoma State. More with DJ and PK in a moment.